The CEO's son thought he could bully me out of the company because he wanted my office for his new lounge, but he didn't realize I was the one who held the patent to our entire product line. Listen closely, because this is how I turned a privileged brat's power trip into his father's biggest nightmare. I have been the lead chemical engineer at this firm for 12 years, and I am the reason our signature adhesive is the industry standard. The founder and CEO is a man named Arthur who is brilliant, but his son Kyle is a walking disaster. Kyle was recently appointed as the vice president of special projects, which basically meant he spent his day playing video games and ordering people around. Last Monday, Kyle walked into my lab and told me that he needed my space to build a luxury gaming suite for his client. He told me to pack my equipment and move to the basement storage unit, which has no ventilation and barely any light. I told him, Kyle, this lab is calibrated for the specific temperature requirements of our secret formula. If I move it, the production will stop. But Kyle just smirked and said, I'm the boss's son, and what I say goes, you have 48 hours to get out or you're fired. I knew Arthur was out of the country and wouldn't answer his phone, so I decided to give Kyle exactly what he wanted. I packed up my things, but I also took the proprietary catalyst samples that only I knew how to stabilize. Without those samples, the factory would start producing nothing but useless gray sludge. I moved to the basement and spent the next 2 days working on my own private research while the main production line upstairs began to fail on Wednesday morning. The factory manager called Kyle in a panic, saying that the last 3 batches of product were completely ruined and they were losing $600,000 every hour. Kyle tried to fix it by shouting at the workers, but he had no idea what was actually wrong. He eventually found me in the basement, sitting in the dark, and demanded I go back up and fix it. I looked him in the eye and said, I can't do that, Kyle, because my employment contract specifically states that I am the lead engineer of the main lab, and since you fired me from that position, I'm currently just a private citizen waiting for my severance package. Kyle went pale as he realized the entire company was collapsing because of his ego. Just then, Arthur walked in, having returned early to find his factory in chaos. I handed Arthur my resignation letter and a copy of the patent filing that I personally owned, which I had never officially transferred to the company. Arthur looked at the sludge, then at his son, and then at me. He realized that if I walked out the door, his entire empire would be worth zero. He fired Kyle on the spot and offered me a 20% stake in the company and the position of chief operating officer to stay. I accepted the offer, but only on the condition that Kyle was banned from the building for life. Moral of the story: never try to kick out the person who built the foundation you are standing on, because they might just take the foundation with them when they leave.